Welcome to another episode of CrossTalk. My name is Kevin Touch, and I will be your host for the next 30 minutes or so. The idea of this particular show is kind of a catch-all show when it comes to the two communities that we serve, both Whitman and Hanson. So that means the topics could be anything from upcoming events to who's who, interesting conversations. It could be upcoming town meeting items, a new business. Today, we're joined by Whitman Selectman Randy LaMattina, and we're going to talk a little bit about the process to hire and pick a new town administrator. As folks may or may not know, I'm pretty sure that most know, the previous town administrator, Frank Lynham, announced earlier this year, earlier in 2020, that he was going to retire towards the end of the year, and he has since done so. And so that, of course, sparked a search because town administrators, their lifespan, I shouldn't say their lifespan, but usually the span of time that they spend in communities could be anywhere from 3 to 10 years. Frank happened to be in the town for, I think, over 20 years or around 20 years. So it's kind of it's one of those things that is kind of unheard of. But again, knowing that the town has gone through this process. Randy, welcome to the conversation. I'm looking forward to talking about what it was like searching for Whitman's next town administrator.
Thanks for having me, Kevin. It was a process, that's for sure. And like you just alluded to about Frank, obvious legend in his field. When you get that type of longevity with one town, it speaks volume to his character. It speaks volumes to his knowledge of his profession and his craft. And Frank and I, we had go-rounds, absolutely, didn't always agree, but there was a respect, and I have a lot of respect for Frank and his commitment to the town of Whitman.
When it was announced that he was going to be retiring, what was the immediate conversation with your colleagues on the board and around town?
Uh, it's a big void to fill. Frank was a cornerstone, a staple. I mean, but for me personally, was to get out of the mindset to try and replace Frank, look for Frank's replacement. I geared it as I wanted to figure out where our town deficiencies, what I saw as upcoming problems, and try to find a candidate that could address those the best possible way.
If you could kind of give our viewers a quick snapshot of where things stand with the town financially, everybody may or may not know where things stand, but it's been an ongoing process over the past couple of years in regards to how the town is doing financially.
If you look at us financial wise, there have been some major adjustments with how we've done things financially. Obviously, I chaired the budget override committee, and we brought in a consultant, Mr. Madden, who gave us some great recommendations, set us on a path of some sustainability. But financially, we're probably in the position a lot of other municipalities are in right now, where it's going to be tough. It's certainly due to the pandemic. Everyone is feeling the pressure right now, and our job is to make sure that we can do the best job for our taxpayers. We're going to have some challenges going forward. If a year and a half ago you kind of watched those meetings with John Madden and the budget override committee, we were talking about need for an override. We at some point will need one, an operational override. We're trying our best right now to not put that burden on people during this pandemic, where we see staggering unemployment numbers across the Commonwealth.
So the conversation starts that we need to find our next town administrator. What direction did the Board of Selectmen decide to go in? Because there are different methods, or there's different methodologies in seeking the next person who's going to oversee town departments and the town's finances.
Sure. Well, early on, there was some discussions which way we were going to go. Sometimes you will see a search committee set up, which our board opted not to do. I personally did not like the search committee because I think now you're adding another level of taking away a level of complete objectivity and not focusing on what the person you want to fill your needs. So what we did is we interviewed two companies. We ended up choosing Community Paradigm Associates, headed by Mr. Bernie Lynch. He then met with the selectmen, asked what we were looking for, where we thought what needs need to be met. Then he and his staff went out and had individual interviews with a majority of our stakeholders, our department heads, chairmen of boards and committees, all individual, not as a group, and compiled what basically did his own survey of what the generality and the needs of the town and what everyone was looking for. From that, using whatever formula they use, I believe we had close to 31 or 32 overall applicants, all different experience levels and from different geographic locations. And it was narrowed down to 4 finalists, which were presented to the Board of Selectmen. And we interviewed, spent quite a long day, a couple weeks ago, interviewing these candidates. I believe they were very thorough, detailed interviews. I implore people to go watch them. And a candidate was selected from the board.
Let's back up a bit before we get to that. We don't want to give people the ending of the story just yet, because I want to kind of pick your brain as to what the process, what was the process and what were the key ingredients to picking the next town administrator in your mind? What were some of the things that you had on your list that you felt were important moving forward to resolve some of the town's financial issues that have been, I feel, something that a lot of people have been talking about, including yourself?
Right. Well, I guess for me to start is you need to, I don't think each member of the board had the same list of what they were looking for in an applicant. I can only really speak on what I was looking for. And as much as I will praise Frank, absolutely, I think there were some weak areas that over the past couple of years we've started strengthening. One of those being a budget and financial direction. And I wanted a candidate that was strong in that area, had a proven background in that area, that would come in and set and rely on fiscal policy, set and rely on the use of recommended practices, and really develop a stronger policy and procedure program throughout the town. Then I wanted somebody who had some economic development experience, and someone that also knew how to work with various departments and some collective bargaining knowledge. And then basically general overall qualifications, background, education experience, etc.
How was it a source of pride that you had 31 people who were interested in being a town administrator in the community known as Whitman? How proud are you to know that this was a position that was highly sought after and that people really wanted to get involved with your community?
It speaks volumes of the town. It really does. Although we have our ups and downs, and you definitely see some struggles and differences, it speaks volumes of the strength of our town. And I think it was just about every candidate we interviewed made a note to speak about our downtown and how special that was. And from somebody who grew up here, I remember how, bustling and really energetic that center was as a kid for me back in, the mid 80s. And that's coming back. And that to me is exciting. And, anyone that has an economic vision, how they can help our developers, uh, where can we bring that to the next level and really expand on something that truly is special to the town of Whitman?
Again, if you're just tuning in, we're speaking with Randy LaMattina, Whitman Selectman, and we're talking about the process of hiring a new town administrator, going from bringing on an organization, a company to come in and assist with gathering information, conducting interviews, just helping with the process. Um, what was it like when you finally were able to? How did the process go to narrow down to a handful of folks? What was that like?
That was really decided by a community paradigm and the proven formula that they use. Um, Company that really has been involved in a lot of local searches, that this is their business. They know how to narrow it down to look at what you're looking, the void you're looking to fill, and give you the best possible 3 or 4 candidates from their list that they see. And I really like that because to me, you were taking the personalities out of it. You were taking, it really was truly objective based on experience and qualifications. And like I had said previously, at the end of it, we had 4 qualified candidates to choose from.
What was it like putting questions to these candidates and hearing what they had to say? How interesting was that? And what kind of a process it was if you personally to have your own list of questions? Did you have your own list of questions, or was there a pool of questions that the selectmen drew from?
So the way that went was, if and again, I would say to anybody, it's pretty interesting watch, and I believe you could find it on WHCA. Um, there was almost and I really did appreciate how this was done. It was I don't want to say script of questions that uh, Bernie Lynch and his group gave us, but it was a pretty good diagram how to get through an interview and basically touch all the bases of what was developed as the needs. And so that list was sent to the selectmen, and then we expanded on that if there was any other areas that we wanted to see some further, more in-depth questioning done. And every selectman, I believe, sent things back. I don't know what questions came from who, and I thought that was another great part of the process.
How important is the dynamic of the Board of Selectmen in regards to selecting a new town administrator? Because two of you are on the younger side, and 3 of the selectmen are kind of been, so there's as far as values and how you look at things, they can differ from time to time. What was it like meshing together to pick the next town administrator?
Well, what I will say, I really respect the makeup of our board. It's different in many ways, some of which you just mentioned is a little bit of an age difference between the youngest and oldest. But overall, we've worked well together. Obviously had differences of opinions. Uh, this was one of those things that this was a very difficult decision, Kevin. But for me, at the end of the day, is I know where I want to see Whitman going, and I chose a candidate that I felt would get that displayed the qualifications and attributes that would get this town to where I want to see it go. Plain and simple. I know for others it was more challenging. Um, maybe based on some personal relationships.
You did have a dynamic where you actually had somewhat of an in-house candidate and you had outside candidates. And I would think that that was part of the process is deciding, do we want to hire from within? Do we want to bring someone in? It's almost like bringing in a new police chief or a fire chief. Do we want to stick with what we have inside of the department, or do we want to go outside and have a fresh perspective? It appears to me as though the Board of Selectmen was impressed with one particular candidate. Lincoln Heineman was the one who ended up getting the votes. He was an outside candidate. What were some of the things that Mr. Heineman provided and showcased that ultimately got him the opportunity to sit down and iron out a contract?
Again, I can only, we haven't ironed out the contract yet.
Right. That's why I said it like that is where you're right now, as we talk, a contract is being worked on.
Yes. So again, I can only speak for myself.
Okay.
What I will, let me start off by addressing the in-house candidate first, because that's where I seem to be getting a slight bit of, I see some pushback on that. For me, when we started this process, we hired a company, and we never once said we wanted an in-house candidate. To choose the best from town candidates. We said we wanted the 3 or 4 top qualified candidates at the selection. Being an in-house candidate to me, or from the town in general, if you looked at my list of what I was looking for, was really not, when it comes to the town administrator position, was not very high on that list. It's somebody that is going to utilize best practices, is going to utilize and develop fiscal policy. I don't think that that's something that your geographic location where you leave home, where you start your journey to work from, really is that important to me. So going back into what I was looking for as a candidate, it was a strong, for me, number one thing was a strong fiscal background. And the candidate that shined in those interviews was Lincoln Heineman. And I'll tell you, Kevin, I am excited to see what he can do. If you watch the interviews, you see him, I mean, he's tossing out ideas of already thinking of what we can do. One of the things he tossed out that really, I mean, piqued my curiosity during his interview was already starting out by saying, this is what I want to get the stakeholders, the commercial stakeholders, and have a meeting with them. We have a strong center. How can we make it better? I saw some excitement in that particular interview that I didn't see in the other 3. Not saying the other 3 candidates weren't great and will have great careers probably, and are doing great things in the communities they are. I think our interim has been a very good employee for us. At the end of the day, it was who filled the void with the qualifications I was looking for, and it was Lincoln Heineman.
Knowing that with this time of year, this is when the information is starting to be gathered to start looking forward to putting together a new fiscal year budget. How crucial is this particular time that you are picking somebody, working on a contract, and hopefully getting this individual up to speed as to where things stand with the town financially, so you can have a success come town meeting in May, if it does happen then?
It may only be late, wrapping up December, but it really is crunch time, because for the things you just mentioned. Yep. We have to get a contract for Lincoln ironed out rather quickly. He's taking as much of a chance on us as we are on him. He's obviously leaving a position that he's vested in to come help us out. So he's going to have to give some type of notice there. And, then it's crunch time. that Maytown meeting comes quick, and there's a lot to catch up, get caught up to speed on, and a lot to get done.
So anything I haven't asked you moving forward in regards to the whole process, or anything that you want to maybe touch upon before we wrap up our conversation here today?
You know, I just saw, I want to let people know that if you have questions about the process, uh, follow the last couple meetings, watch the interviews. Uh, this process, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I 100% know in my heart that the 4 candidates that we were presented were there for a reason, and we couldn't have made a misstep for the town. And I'm very excited, and I hope the townspeople see it, that although it's going to be a different look, I think we're going to do some great things with our new town administrator.
Excellent. Well, going into 2021, any goals that you're looking to set yourself as a selectman, and hopeful of a new year in front of us?
I am. I mean, first and foremost, let's get back to normal. Let's get, the vaccine program rolled out strong, get that throughout our town, get our kids back to school. It's heartbreaking. I can sit here, Kevin, but with my own daughter, I can see the toll that this is, it's taking on her. These kids need to get back, and that's my number one goal. Is I want to see kids' lives get, restored as quick as possible, and anything I can do as a selectman, whether it be to assist our fire chief and our Board of Health of, making sure that the vaccine program gets set up properly and efficiently. That's what I'm going to do. I think that we're going to be ready when that happens, and we're going to get, our citizens vaccinated, and start restoring some normality.
Well, I want to thank you for joining us, and sharing some of this background on picking a new town administrator moving forward into 2021. Continued success, and look forward to more conversations with you down the road.
Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate you having me. It's always fun.
You got it. And we've been speaking with Whitman Selectman Randy LaMattina, who has been our guest. And if you have any ideas for guests in the near future, info@whca.tv, and in the subject line, just put the particular show Crosstalk as Crosstalk ideas or guests. And we'll make sure that we seek out that said guest and see if we can get them on the program, whether we do it via Zoom or one day back in studio. We'll see. But until next time, have yourself a great day. Stay safe.